This is Radio Health Journal. I'm Nancy Benson. This week, a radical diet to stop heart disease.
Heart disease is nothing more than a toothless paper tiger that need never, ever exist. And if it does exist, it need never, ever progress. This is a completely benign foodborne illness.
A plant-based fix for heart disease when Radio Health Journal returns.
I'm Reed Pence, the producer and host of Radio Health Journal. If you like listening to Radio Health Journal, you'll also like our sister show, Viewpoints, which covers a wide array of topics from education to history to the environment. Here's a preview of what they're covering this week on Viewpoints.
This week on Viewpoints.
The suburbs were never designed with sustainability in mind.
The challenges facing suburbia today. Then,
when you take on the role of being a bridesmaid, it's almost like you become an event planner and you're tasked with doing all of these things when really you just want to be a good friend.
The hefty cost of being a supportive friend during wedding season. I'm Marty Peterson.
And I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth this week on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.
Listen to Radio Health Journal and Viewpoints on your favorite radio station. And subscribe and listen anytime on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Also, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Radio Health Journal.
Arnie Press is a 66-year-old Chicago area resident who's part of a very large club. He's been diagnosed with heart disease, just like 28 million other Americans. Millions more probably have heart disease and don't know it.
I have a long family history of people dying on driveways in snowstorms, coronary artery disease, and probably about 7 or 8 years ago, a friend of mine went to have a CT test and had told me it was very inexpensive and highly recommended, and he had known what my history was. When I first took it, my score was 50. You really want your score to be 0. So once you have coronary artery disease, the rule of thumb is that it will only get worse. Once I had an initial score of 50, I waited 3 years and had another test. My score was 250. Now, the rule of thumb is you really don't want it to go up more than 10 or 15% a year, so I knew I had a real problem. I didn't do a lot about it, but I did make some changes, and then 2 years later, I took another test, and my score was 529, and I knew I had a serious problem, and probably genetic.
Arnie knew he had to do something. He started on the keto diet and didn't feel much better. Then he switched to a radical plant-based, oil-free diet. He says that's the only reason he's still alive today.
I made what I will call radical changes, and I went 100% all in because I'm the kind of person that if I don't do something 100%, I just may not do it. And I started losing weight immediately, a lot of weight, and I was still eating a really large amount of food. And I started feeling better, and really, my arthritis went away in a matter of 3-4 weeks, which I found to be amazing. I've always played guitar my entire life, so I'm very sensitive to that feeling. My energy level went up. I just felt way better.
The doctor who prescribed Arnie's diet is Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, director of the Cardiovascular Disease Prevention and Reversal Program at the Cleveland Clinic Wellness Institute. He says if everyone followed a plant-based diet from an early age, no one would ever get heart disease. And those who have heart disease now would see it reverse.
Heart disease is nothing more than a toothless paper tiger that need never, ever exist. And if it does exist, it need never, ever progress. This is a completely benign foodborne illness. And it's really quite striking to think that here in this country we have built a billion-dollar health industry around an illness that doesn't even exist in half the planet Earth.
Esselstyn says for most of us in the Western world, our diet starts us down the path of heart disease at an early age, before we're even into our 20s. He says what we eat injures the delicate single-cell thick lining of our blood vessels, the endothelium.
What makes the endothelium such a truly magic molecule is that it produces this remarkable gas, nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is truly the protection and salvation of all of our blood vessels because of its remarkable functions. For example, nitric oxide will keep all the cellular elements within our bloodstream flowing smoothly, like Teflon rather than Velcro. It keeps things from getting sticky. Number 2, Nitric oxide is the strongest blood vessel dilator in the body. When you climb stairs, the arteries to your heart, the arteries to your legs, they widen, they dilate. That's nitric oxide. Number 3, nitric oxide will protect the wall of the artery from becoming thickened, stiff, or inflamed, protect us from getting high blood pressure or hypertension.
Esselstyn says if a person has a normal amount of nitric oxide, they're protected against developing arterial blockages or plaque. And if they don't?
Everybody on the planet, whether they're from London, Berlin, Chicago, New York, or Grand Rapids, Michigan, if they have cardiovascular disease, it is because by now, in the previous decades, they have so sufficiently trashed, injured, compromised, and turned their endothelial system into a train wreck that they simply no longer have enough nitric oxide to protect themselves from developing blockages and plaque. But however, the good news here is this. This is not a malignancy. This is a completely benign foodborne illness. And once you can get patients to stop ever again passing anything through their lips that is going to further destroy an already train-wrecked endothelium, then the endothelium recovers, makes enough nitric oxide so you no longer have any disease progression, but we often will see significant elements of disease reversal.
There's many doctors as well as people who believe that you cannot reverse coronary artery disease. I'm absolutely not one of them, and I'm living proof that you can.
And Esselstyn says it can start to work in just a few days. But most people would probably say it's not necessarily easy. Many of the foods that Esselstyn eliminates from people's diets are American standbys and what we use to cook them.
The foods that injure and create endothelial injury and dysfunction are oil, any oil, olive oil, corn oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, coconut oil, palm oil, oil in a cracker, oil in a piece of bread, oil in a salad dressing. Oil injures endothelial cells, as does anything with a mother or a face: meat, fish, chicken, fowl, turkey, and eggs, and dairy, milk, cream, butter, cheese, ice cream, and yogurt, and sugary drinks, diet colas, and sugary foods, cakes, pies, cookies, stevia, agave, excesses of maple syrup, molasses, and honey. And for my patients with heart disease, I do not like them to have the saturated fat in avocado and nuts, peanut butter, and cashew sauce. And I prefer they not drink coffee with caffeine.
Arnie says the change was easy, but he admits a lot of his friends find that hard to believe.
For me, the hardest part was hearing people say, I can't believe you can do that. And I could, so that was almost discouraging in its own way because I just had to sort of laugh it off and keep going forward. And the other thing was really the social aspect of it. Most people, they're, hey, let's get together. Let's go out to eat. Let's have lunch. Let's have dinner. Let's go here and then go have a drink. And that really is the toughest part. It really is adjusting to the social aspect, which we have done a really good job, and our friends have really helped along the way. We see more movies now and do other things, or if it's food related, we'll probably go with them and just have something, to drink or watch. Bring our own food.
Still, many cardiologists criticize such a radical diet as being simply too hard for the average person to stick to, though Esselstyn says his patients are 90% compliant. He says other, more popular heart-healthy diets, like the Mediterranean diet, are better than the standard Western diet, but not by much.
They're fine if you'd like to have a small heart attack, maybe you'd like to have a small stroke, maybe some mild erectile dysfunction. I have a chapter in my book. It's entitled Moderation Kills.
And while doctors continue to rely on statins and stents to combat heart disease, Esselstyn says the answer has been here all along for all kinds of diseases, not just cardiovascular.
The forthcoming seismic revolution in health will never come about through the invention of another pill or another procedure like a stent or a bypass. No, this seismic revolution will come about when we have the will and the grit and the determination to share with the public what is the lifestyle, and most specifically, what is the nutritional literacy that will empower them to absolutely annihilate chronic illness.
You can find out more about all our guests through our website, radiohealthjournal.net. Our studio producer is Jason Dickey. I'm Nancy Benson.
Radio Health Journal returns in just a moment.
New research shows that healthy lifestyle choices may dramatically reduce the risk of dementia. 5 studies presented at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference 2019 in Los Angeles show that lifestyle factors such as a healthy diet and exercise may even counteract genetic risks for dementia. Dr. Maria Carrillo is Chief Science Officer at the Alzheimer's Association.
While there is no proven cure or treatment for Alzheimer's, a large body of research now strongly suggests that combining healthy habits promotes good brain health and reduces your risk of cognitive decline.
Along with a healthy diet and exercise, steps such as building a cognitive reserve through formal education and cognitively stimulating jobs also help provide maximum memory benefit. The new research suggests that adopting 4 or 5 healthy lifestyle factors rather than none or only one may reduce the risk of Alzheimer's dementia by nearly 60%. Find out more at alz.org.
Electric scooters are fun, easy to use, and seemingly all over the streets. But several new studies find that e-scooters are also causing a growing number of serious injuries. One study by the CDC shows that 45% of those hurt have head injuries, while another 27% have broken arms, wrists, or hands. Half of those hurt say a pothole or a crack in the street caused their crash. Dr. Vidor Friedman is president of the American College of Emergency Physicians.
Emergency physicians are treating an increasing number of scooter-related injuries. Many of these are serious and can be life-changing, but many of these injuries are avoidable. The number one thing you can do to avoid serious injury is to wear a helmet. Scoot safe and avoid an emergency.
Studies show that about a third of those hurt are first-time scooter riders. Dr. Friedman advises to start slowly, follow the rules of the road, and be an alert rider. More safety tips are online at emergencycareforyou.org/scootsafe.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-835-1478. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-835-1478. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher for donating. Call now, 1-800-835-1478. That's 1-800-835-1478.
Thank you for listening to Radio Health Journal, a production of MediaTrax Communications. If you enjoyed this broadcast, please support our show by subscribing, sharing it with a friend, and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. You can find more Radio Health Journal stories about health, science, and technology on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and RadioHealthJournal.net. Also, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Radio Health Journal. Coming up next week on Radio Health Journal.
I am living with and married to this person who, for a long time, and even today, 7.5 years later, often feels very much like a stranger to me.
How traumatic brain injuries can impact relationships.
Then, if you're dropping your kids off at school this month, you might want to hear what America's favorite crossing guard has to say about school zone safety.
I almost have to have eyes in the back of my head so that I can see what everybody in all directions is doing.
All that and more on Radio Health Journal.